you can do this. Like, you are freaking an infinite, powerful human being. Like, there's nothing stopping you. You're like, I'm you, you're me, we're all the same. It's so crazy. And when we just realize it, it's like, this is so exciting. There's infinite possibilities at any moment.
Welcome to the Divine Hangout. I'm your host, Hillary Jubilee. It is my intention that when you listen to this podcast, you experience an increase in peace, abundance, and divine miracles in your life experience. If you love all things spirituality, wellness, healing, manifestation, and miracles, you are in the exact right place at the exact right time. Let's enter the portal together. Welcome to the Divine Hangout. It's Hillary, and today I'm joined by Bianka Fucsko, and she is a Pilates and yoga teacher and a manifestation coach, and I'm super excited to speak with her today. So thank you for joining me today, Bianka.
Thanks so much. And so nice that you pronounced my name perfectly, because most of Americans or Canadians say like Bianca. So I love that. So nice.
So it's Bianka?
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you describe if you were raised spiritually at all? Like, were you raised with the knowledge about manifestation, or did you come across it later in life?
Yeah, it's interesting. You're the second person that asked me today. Actually, I don't know. It's weird because I felt like I was super weird, and like, I don't want to sound like cliche or something like this, but I was like born spiritual, if you can be like born spiritually inclined. Like, I actually asked my yoga teacher or one of my mentors a couple of years ago, like, why is it that I was like always like, I feel most connected when I'm at home. Like, I'm from Australia, so I'm born in Australia at like the beach. And why do I feel like most connected when I'm alone with animals and stuff? And like, I started to do yoga at 13. And I always had this inclination, like, I wanted to be doing this kind of work, and I loved being alone. And I think, well, he said something like very simply along the lines of like, yeah, there's some people with like a sixth sense. So I think it was something that I had like maybe gotten from past lives, from my family, from my upbringing, although like I didn't really tap into it, I guess, to like manifesting and this like spiritual practices until the age of probably like 14 or something. So I wasn't born with it, but it did come quite early.
So did your parents teach you about this, or it was more of an intuitive feeling?
Super intuitive. Like, my parents, I didn't know about like manifesting. I didn't know anything of this. Like my parents didn't bring me up in any sense of that. Like, I guess my like Hungarian side, so my dad was Hungarian. Like, apparently we come from like a line of like gypsies and witches, and my dad was like into like runes and like reading into dreams, but like nothing, like we didn't have conversations and sit down and talk about that stuff. I was like just a weird child doing my own stuff, just like talking to animals, like. And that's why I guess I started dancing as well, because that was like my little niche where I could go and just like be that like spiritual soul, like understanding myself. And yeah.
So when did you come into manifestation coaching?
Actually, this year, it's super interesting. I started like on the manifesting journey like 2019. So that's like before COVID, right? Like typical, like get your ex. I was like literally like heartbroken, like very stupid story about like get your ex back. And I was like, oh my God, this manifesting. Oh, you can like manifest a text message. So like consciously creating 2009 and then 2019, I'm sorry. And it's really the beginning of this year that I started to get into the coaching, because I would like, sit and chat to people, and like people to ask me, because I would like manifest, I guess I also manifested like my ballet career. Like, I always used to stand like a ballerina when I was young. I don't know. I was like, because also for me, manifesting is just like being persistent with something, it's like just living and breathing and doing that thing. So like being a ballerina, because I was a very successful dancer for 10 years, it was like, for me, like the same thing. Like, if I can do that, then I can also kind of manifest. So when I would like help people who would like, ask me, and I joined all these different groups and stuff, I started like just talking to people, and then like the people around me would like manifest. Like, they would just call me up and be like, hey, I like manifested marriage. Like, I manifest, like, I'm getting married now. Yeah, me and my SP. I was like, I did what you said. And I was like, okay, cool. And then it got like really hectic at the beginning of this year. I was talking to like a manifestation buddy, and she was like, babe, that like you're like really good at this. Like, you should just like charge people. And I was like, no. So then like the first person, I was like, hey, we're talking. This was like super awkward. I was like, hey, yeah. And I also work like a full-time job, and this and that and the other. I was like, this is taking up a lot of my time. This is like 2-3 hours of my day where I'm just like, how it is, like just talking like on Facebook, on Instagram, like globally around the world. It's like, I'm gonna start doing manifestation coaching now, and it's like super cheap. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, sorry, like I'm not really sorry, but yeah, everybody around me is getting their manifestations. My friend said I should be like, I didn't obviously tell her that, but like basically inside me, I was like, my friend said I should be a coach. So I was like, okay, cool. And then it's like really developed. Like I've been coaching for what are we now, 6 months? Like it's awesome. Like I just love helping people. I just love being there for them. It's really amazing. Like if I stopped doing it, I'd be like, oh, I don't feel good anymore. Like somehow, but it wasn't also something that was like, it was like I want to be a manifestation coach, or I want to like, I think that's also manifesting. It's just like it came to me with this intuition thing again. So like connected source and like, okay, this is what I should be doing, and I can combine it with the yoga stuff, but like all that good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to circle back to what you said about like how you came across manifesting, and it was like the manifesting your ex or whatever. So like, can you like, what's your opinion on that? Like, how did that turn out for you?
Like manifesting my ex specifically.
Yeah, like
the story. Let's say, okay. Well, it was cool because it was like, I mean, it's not cool. My story was like, I was like really, really desperate. Like I was really like desperate for my my ex at that time. But it was like I would just like like I was one of those people that would like binge videos and like be super like anxious, and like I had different coaches, and I was like, I don't recommend that to anybody. Like and I really work with my clients like from the base levels, you know, doing breath work, doing meditations, vipassana, even getting some people to do like yoga, somatic exercises, which I didn't do during the time that I was like manifesting my ex. But it was like I was watching a video from like Eric Ho, or like what's his name now? He changed his name, Asakara, something like this, whatever. And then it was basically like manifesting my ex, manifesting my ex, manifesting my ex. I would just want a text message, and I really remember because I would like do like movement on my Pilates reformer, and I would just like listen to the information and be like, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. And then, you know, one day I was like on my reformer, just like one night, I was like screw this shit, I'm like so done, you know. And that's the whole thing about manifesting. When you relax, when you quote unquote let go, when you're like, I don't care, like I'm so like there's no resistance against anything. And I literally would like said to the universe, like fuck this shit, like I can't do this anymore. Like it was driving me mad. Like I was like, I'm already quite like a bubbly energetic person, but I was like really on fire. I was like, I can't be doing this anymore. And that night, like my ex texted me, I was like, hey, like I think we should meet. I was like, it was like crazy. Like I really don't, I was like literally just swore to universe. I was like, not swore, but like I'm, you know, and I let go, and then boom, like that text message came through. I was like, oh, okay, cool. This works. And so I started like manifesting so much stuff, and yeah, but I don't know. I like it, but it can be also a little bit of a crazy thing, you know, if you get too obsessed with the whole situation like I did. But I learned, and I try to teach my clients otherwise.
Yeah, I had an experience with like manifesting a specific person where it just was the wrong person, and so just the amount of effort I was doing, and it was actually really toxic. So it was like that's how I kind of came into law of assumption, is like Neville Goddard's work and stuff like that. And I was sort of trying to manifest this person to, like, we were together, but it was like I was trying to manifest him to do X, Y, and Z, and like to move forward. And it was just like such a toxic situation, but I was just focusing so much on like forcing and trying to fix, and like he needs to show up this way and I'm not doing enough because he's not doing this. And it's like it's so obsessive, and like just it's just not healthy. And I feel like a huge thing that I learned was like that intuition plays a huge role in it, and like listening to like your inner voice instead of your ego, because like I just ignored so many red flags and just was like, no, like if anything's possible, this is what I need to create. And it's like your little ego human mind sometimes doesn't know like what's the best for your life. I found.
Yeah, it's quite similar to me. That's what I feel like as well. And like I manifested also like similar situation. Like when I look back, I could say that I was in like not the best, like not my highest self version of being with somebody who was like, you know, like my relationship now is like super chill. Like it's just like, wow, okay. The world just opened up, was like, here you go, Bianca. Like this is a person that is maybe good for you. And you know, that journey was like going quite well right now. But it was like, I was similar. I was like, oh my God, he's saying exactly like my quote unquote, like my ex SP, if I could say. I was like, oh my God, he's saying exactly that. Oh my God, like I would just laugh, and like sometimes he would be like, you know, he would call me certain things that were like very awful in the 3D, and then like a week later he was be like, no, I didn't say that. I was like, oh my God, this is so funny. But it was like my ego just literally wanting to I don't know if it's manipulation or it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so powerful. Oh my gosh, I'm so like, whoa, girl, like you need to also heal and understand that, this whole manifesting thing is also not, it's not ego. Like it's obviously it's not ego work, obviously, but like when we sometimes get into this circle, it becomes kind of like a game. I don't know if you can, if you can, what am I trying to say? If you can not understand, if you get what I'm saying.
I do. I feel like it's like whether you're coming from like your true self or coming from ego when you're manifesting certain things, because like in that particular situation for myself, it was like, I need it to be this way. And it's just, trying to force it to be something. And there would be reflections, like you're saying, like, oh, he'll say something, or like, I was trying to manifest engagement, and he literally got down on one knee 5 times in 6 months, like as a joke. And I'm like, he's picking up on the like energy, blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
It's like, okay, like great. But like, this person isn't for you. Like, I don't know. I just think that there's another level to it where like just listening to your intuition and that like connecting to the divine, and people, I feel like people have trouble with this because they're like, my way or the highway, like I can create anything, so I'm going to create it with this person. And it's like, okay, but I just feel like there's a saying where like God can see around corners, where it's like your ego doesn't necessarily know what's like the best outcome. So being open to what might be more beneficial to you in your life.
I mean, you don't see it, like you in the same situation as me. I was like in my first manifesting SP, I was like, this is the person I want to have kids with. This is the person, like, and when I look back, I'm like, wow, I'm glad that didn't happen, because like my divine self has like grown up so much that like, wow, like was I blind? But you really get just, I guess coming back to what we're saying, like just so caught up in like that is it and the dual. And like also what you say, like I have a few clients and they're like, no, that's the person. I'm like, okay, that's your person, but how about like literally when I met, like if I can talk about like my current situation, like when I'm at my SP right now, this was like the ball change. I was like, hey, like this is what I try and tell my clients. It's like, it's, as a lot of coaches also say, like it's SP or somebody better, remembering that there are like a lot of people in the world. And I literally told my SP, and when I met him, I was like, I guess we should maybe try and do this thing, but there's probably like 8 other men in the world that are better for me than you. And he was like, okay, cool. But I was like, I'm choosing you, And I was like, I was like, oh my God, I feel like so egotistical, but it's like, it's probably true. But it's like, in this reality that I'm choosing, you're the one that I want to spend my time with. And it's beautiful, And he was so like comforting with that. He was like, okay, cool. Like, I was like, wow, okay, this is nice,
Yeah, I definitely think that there's more than one person for everybody, because like there's so many people.
Yeah.
But it is a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is your favorite manifestation story like in your life? What's like the one that you're really proud of?
I have a long story like with my mom. There's like a very long history like of family stuff. And so I started studying Reiki, I did like my level 1, 2 masters and grandmasters probably about a year ago. And my mom in like 3D, my mom has been quite ill. And so about a year ago, I was like, okay, a year and a half ago, I was like, hey, I'm doing this thing called like Reiki. And she's kind of like, you and your spiritual stuff, like you're with your fairies. Like if she watches this, I'm sorry, mom, but like you're just like so off the planet, like very just like esoterical, and you don't even know what like life is about. And I was like, oh, can I try Reiki? And she's like, no, that's so like, that's really stupid and stuff. And like, obviously I believe that it helps and it heals, and she has cancer and stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try and heal her. And that kind of like faded, but I would do like distance Reiki and stuff. And I've always been like affirming, my mom is healed. My mom is, meeting somebody. My mom, all these affirmations about my mom being healthy, and like visualizing her just being good. And so about a week ago, we had a call, and she was just like, I'm doing like a yoga retreat in July. And from her mouth, she was like, yeah, I've been reading up on that Reiki stuff that you did in your retreat. And I'm so excited. Like, I've read up, it's a healing modality. Like, maybe I can, like, to heal myself. And, like, I really want to get better. And by the way, like, my mom's been single now for, like, more, like, many, many years. And she was like, oh, by the way, like I also like met this guy and I think I'm gonna call him. I was like, wow, this is like awesome because I'm like manifesting for such like a bigger purpose than myself. Like it's nice to manifest small things, and like I manifested a car and I manifested SP and I manifested this amount of money and all that's cool. But it's like when I start manifesting for like my mom's health and she's literally coming to me like not like I'm not putting any work, like it's like she's never said in the last like couple of like last 10 years, she's always been like, yeah, I'm never gonna find anybody like your father and blah blah blah. I don't feel like good and I should probably just like die or something. And now she's like, yeah, I want to get better in this Reiki thing. And like I was like, whoa, this is awesome. This is so like, this is what I want, this is what I live for. And that's beautiful, I think.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So onwards and upwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So with, you're saying like you're using affirmations and visualization. So would you say those are your favorite way to manifest? Like what's your go-to method?
I don't know. It's weird. Like now I like really just live in it's like, I really just live in the end. Like, I think it's changed over the years. Like, what are we now? 4 years? My go-to used to be just like scripting. Like when I was like, firstly manifesting my first partner, I would like go on dates with other guys, go on dates with other people. They would like take me on free. Like I would get like things from like, I'm talking like trips to Australia for free. I would get trips to like all around the world for free. And I would be so crazy. And I'd be like literally sitting with them like on the train. I remember once I was like sitting with this guy who'd like purchased like tickets for me and we're like going somewhere for like 4 days. And I was like, I'm just going to get out my book and pretend I'm like journaling. And I was like, scripting, like he's thinking like super obsessive, like he's thinking of me, he's thinking, like, but I was like that. I was like, this is going to happen. And then that obviously like manifested and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So I love scripting and I love like morning, like when I was really, really crazy, I would like have a big placard on my like wall and I'd have like a 3-hour morning routine, which would be like wake up, do breath work, listen to like Aaron Doherty's like meditations, and then I'd like do my Reiki stuff, my healing, send power healing, and then do like scripting and then affirmations. So I really do, I think, advise like, or I do like get my clients to do like affirmations and stick them around. That's one of my favorites. And now for me, like in this period, I'm just like, okay, like literally living in the end. Like my YouTube channel is growing steadily now. And I'm like, when I meet people, I'm like, yo, I'm a YouTuber. Even though my like count is like less than like what a monetized YouTuber would have. I'm like, yeah, it takes a lot of time. Like I really just like, and I think people like confused. Maybe it comes across as like egotistical, but it's like, I am the person that I am becoming, It's like, I am living in the end. And I know that these things are gonna happen, but I think that's progressed over the period of time.
I love that. You're speaking it into existence.
Well, yeah.
And saying, like live in the end. That's a Neville Goddard term, right?
Of course, yeah.
So like, how do you how do you feel about like the concept of the world is a mirror, or like everyone is you pushed out? Like, how would you describe that to someone who's never heard that before?
How would I describe everybody's you pushed out or the world's mirror to somebody who has never heard it? The way, it's that thing about self-concept, the way that you see yourself and the way that you act is going to be the way that people respond to you. And so if I'm being a certain energy or like I'm believing a certain thing about myself, it's like, I sometimes talk about this to my clients as well. It's like, the energies, let's think of it as energy, the energies that are not aligning to my like energy level, I could say this, are going to like fall off, right? So it's like, I often think of like, if everybody around me, specifically, let's like talk about SP, like think about your SP without a head, right? So everybody's just energy going around and that's going to attract, it's almost like law of attraction, a little bit like this. Is going to mirror you, and whether there's no good and there's no bad. So if somebody you really like doesn't align with you anymore, I always tell these people there's like this bridge of like area that can be a little bit gray in between, but it's all working out for the higher good in the end, like the divine. So you're becoming just a better person, and those people are growing because we grow as an entity. Everybody's connected, so there's a oneness. Like you and me are connected, you and the person in the next room are, it's like, how are we disconnect? Like we are connected all at one source. So I don't know if that really I don't know if that made any sense of what I was saying. I was very like something along those lines.
Yeah.
of like,
I think, go ahead.
no, like it's like self-concept, what you believe you are, that other people are literally going to see that and they're going to react in a certain way. And that might be like, you know, I had a conversation with a friend yesterday. She's like, oh, my like my ex-girlfriend or something, like my like ex-girlfriend, I'm meaning like my friend, whatever. She's not with me anymore. Like, she doesn't want anything to do with me, but I saw it as a positive thing because I know that I'm doing for myself the best thing that I can do for my life. You know, I'm being a better human. I'm creating this, better world for me. And that's not coming from an ego standpoint of view.
Yeah.
So
I feel like a lot of people don't understand this and like go throughout their whole life without knowing that, you know, if someone has a negative mindset or like a lack mindset and they're like complaining about what's in front of them or complaining about their friend or gossiping or like just negative energy, like just
yeah,
they don't understand that they're creating it. And it's just like, yeah, I want people to just know that like you can just change the way you're showing up and change the way you react and change your own
exactly.
belief about yourself, and then the rest will just automatically mirror that back to you what you've changed within.
Exactly.
Yeah. So on that note, like, what would you say to somebody who wants to shift from a lack mindset? Like, let's say they have issues with loving themselves, or like, yeah, they're just, they're feeling bogged down by maybe something that happened in their past, and they're habitual, like they have a habit of complaining or a habit of focusing on the negative. Like, how does one start to shift that to an abundance mindset or to love themselves? Like, it would be like a gradual process. Like, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I think it's that old, like that like, I was just coming up like old story, you know, that story of like who I used to be, what I used to do, this attachment stuff. Um, so like if I'm talking to somebody like who's just in this like lack mindset, if they don't realize that, it's just like firstly acknowledging, it's always like accepting. It's like a little bit like the yoga mindset meditation and stuff, like accepting it for what it is. So like if somebody's coming to me, I'm like, okay, cool, you know, like it is like, let's have a look at what's going on there. And, you know, what is there? Like, tell me how you feel, you know, and they might be like, well, this is happening in my 3D. This is happening in my 3D. So and so. I'm like, okay, well, what's the best situation that could come out of all of this? Okay. And what's the best and what's the worst and what's all in between? And let's start to look at the in between. And then it's certain things like, okay, what would be, I always, like, the first thing I always say is like, what would be actually your like perfect world? It's like a little bit weird. People don't even think, like, people in lack mindset have never really, and this, I sound maybe like super egotistical, but it's like, I was also like super like negative before, like really bad. But like, what would be your perfect life? You know, how could you see yourself? And people are like, well, actually, I want to help kids, or actually, I want to be a rapper, and I want to, like, most people, when you ask them this question, they're like, I want to do something better for the world. This is where it's like, okay, well, let's start there. And like, there's a long journey to go, but we can definitely work together, and like, they can work by themselves, whatever. But there are certain steps that you can take to reach that. Like, that is something, there's like people around the world who are doing great things. What's the difference between you and them? Actually, nothing, because you're a human, just like they're a human. Um, so it's like, it's just, I guess, coming back to the first question, is like looking at firstly what you're working with, and how does that, you know, how does it look like? How does that feel? What's the story you're constantly telling yourself? And how can we, like, one of the first things I do when I'm working with a client is like, okay, list for me right now the 10 things that are in your mind. And mostly it's like, you know, I don't know, I like, it's just random stuff like, I'm fat and I'm always left, and yeah, I'm sick most of the time. It's like, okay, well, let's like switch it up 180% and like, let's go to the other side. And then I'll get them to, like, you know, like literally change those, like use those, then like 180. So like, I'm fat. Okay, now I'm at a perfect weight. Okay, so then they'll say those affirmations, and I'm like, okay, I had a client once who was like, okay, well, how can you get to that perfect weight? Like, what do you actually like doing? She's like, oh, I like Pilates. Have you ever been? No, let's go to Pilates, you know? And then that's like, it becomes a really nice life that pans out. And they're like, okay, cool, this is feeling step by step better. And then, of course, the lack pops in again. It's always just reminding yourself that you can do this. Like, you are freaking an infinite, powerful human being. Like, there's nothing stopping you. You're like, I'm you, you're me, you know, we're all the same. It's so crazy. And when we just realize it, it's like, this is so exciting. There's infinite possibilities at any moment, you know. And also, I live in Germany now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this country, like, compared with Australia, it's like super negative. Like, there's the energy, you know, it's a very masculine energy. I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? And my friend, like, I don't like to call her manifestation buddy, but she's like, kind of manifestation buddy. She's like, okay, so queens are not meant to fit in. So how are you going to do it? So like, yes, I don't need to fit in with anybody. I need to shine. And then having this shine, like this shiningness, if that's even a word, is going to make the people around me like attracted to me, and it's going to build a community. So I'm going to have an amazing army, which is like in the small town I live in, it's happening. And it's like, okay, this is not ego. This is me like coming back to what you said before, like doing something good for the world, and that's going to reflect. So yeah, I always try to tell people like from the beginning, just what would be your perfect life, and yeah, how can we get there, and then step by step working on millions of things and trying different things, you know.
I love what you said about the queen energy, like just being, just standing in your own power and standing in your own light and letting that radiate out. And then obviously that gets mirrored back to you. Your own power and your own light gets mirrored back. So I love what you said that there. What was the last thing you just said?
We are all infinite. I love this feeling that we are all connected. There's like an infinite, like there really literally is. I said something about there's like infinite possibilities at any given moment. Like you decide in which choices you're gonna take. Like there's literally like abundance, and it's crazy. Like sometimes be like there is abundance literally everywhere. Like there is like a million trees like next to me. There's abundance. Like how this is like only because I've worked a little bit on myself, and we've still got a lot of work to do. But like I'm like, how can you be in lack when there's like dogs in your street, like the little things, there's so much abundance. Like I always say, like, I had one client who was like really in a money situation that he was like not getting out of it all. It's like, you're really good at singing. Go and rap your affirmations and go to a kid and help them rap. Like, go and like, you can always do some charity work. You can always do something I think just helping people is such a great thing that people should start to do maybe more. I don't know. I'm getting a little bit off track, but something like that.
I like where you're going with that. What would you tell somebody who is in like a repeating pattern or something about money, and like how can we break out of people who have like a poverty mindset or something like that, if they're raised in a household where they didn't have a lot of money? Like, is it a belief changing thing? Is it just like an embodiment thing, an energy thing? Like, how would you advise?
I think it's definitely like all of those things. So it comes back to like, okay, I always say like, what are your present like beliefs on money, and how have you lived your life up till now? And I think there's so many ways to, like I said, there are so many ways to get money. And I think it's knowing, okay, well, it's the affirmation thing, so money comes to me in abundance. Money is just like flowing to me. Money is just like coming into my life. Money's literally like all of those cool affirmations that we know. But then it's actually just finding the pathways and understanding like, okay, what am I good at, and how can I also achieve like money, and what are these blocks that need to be broken down, and understanding, okay, it's just basically persistence and honestly like just patience in getting to that goal. But it is possible to break free of those shackles of the things you're telling yourself. You just have to believe it, which is a belief system, which is quite hard to change, especially if you're coming from a family where your parents work very hard, and it's hard, we have to work hard for money. And I also struggle with that a lot, particularly I'm coming from Germany, it's like the working play, like you work. So I think it comes back to also just like finding that balance, I guess, in like feminine masculine energy, that receiving energy of the feminine. I mean, this is the divine hangout, right? So it's like, well, what is that inside of me? Where is that? I was also in like, as a female, I think a lot of women, especially these days, I guess maybe you're the same, I don't know, but like it's like, okay, well, I'm a woman and I'm a beautiful queen with feminine energy, and even a man has feminine energy. So how can I also just receive and like chill, and just let things come to me, because it is going to come to me anyway, Yeah.
I love that.
But I'm not gonna lie, like it is hard to change those. For me, it's been hard, and I notice like when I'm also coaching people, like it's. I feel like it can be hard, but we should always say that it's easy. But because it has been so ingrained into us, as human society.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you just gotta have a leap of faith if you really want to change something, like anything. You've just gotta go all in, right?
I wanted to share this energy tool about abundance. I'm reading this book called what is it? A Course in Mastering Alchemy. And have you ever heard of that book?
Mm-mm.
It's really cool. It's I don't know. I can't even explain it. Like, it's changing my life. But there's all of these energetic tools that they talk about, and one of them is like it's talking about like the power of words and how words are energy and it's a vibration. So, and it's talking about wearing a word, and it talks about like the 7 living words and like just like certainty and power and just like feeling into the power and the vibration of the word. And then and then it has like a list of like more living words, and they're in alphabetical order, and the first one's abundance. And so I was practicing this. It's like wearing the word abundance and like feeling into what that feels like in your body, and like radiating out that word and like wearing the word throughout the day. And it's like, it's such a cool, like energetic thing that I've been playing with.
Like, I have a friend of mine, she's like an Indian actress, and I was like, I think people think that like she's super weird. She literally has like billionaire or something like on her necklace, and like on her phone she does open it up, but just like she literally has like money every, like she's really like she doesn't care, and it's like, wow, she's really like quote unquote successful. I'm like, okay, she's literally wearing that like on her chest, bro. Like, there's, people like, I think it's so cool. Yeah, absolutely. Like, the power of words. I haven't read this book, but I would love to get it. Like, the name of it. I have like a list of 1,000 books. But yeah, so interesting. Super cool.
Yeah. There's another way to like.
It's about feeling, like even when you repeat like certain affirmations, someone's like, money is so good, money is so good. But it's like you get to that essence, and that like that feeling of like, okay, this is manifesting itself, and of course like words are super powerful.
And I think the reason why it seems hard, or it seems like you know how like Abraham Hicks talks about like a train going in one direction, and like you have all the momentum of like the belief and lack, or if you have like a money story or something that doesn't serve you, you have a train going in that direction, and you've had it going in that direction with a lot of momentum for a long time. So like trying to like step in front of it right now, like you're going to get smashed. So like it kind of has to like, to go the other way, you kind of just need to have persistence and faith and like belief in yourself, and keeping on with that feeling of abundance and the affirmations or wwhatever, however you choose to create. But like, yeah, being persistent when you might not see the evidence right away, I think is probably too.
Yeah, 100%. And that just reminds me, like, Abraham Hicks talks a lot about like, being in the vortex, being flow, right? Flow state. It's like, and I remember, I don't know, one of her lectures I listened to, it was like this simple being of like, okay, look at the fish, like literally look at animals, and she was talking about like the salmon swimming downstream, like with the flow of the universe. And it's like the law of nature is always there, and the law of nature knows best. So why are we as humans going against? And this comes like a little bit into Vipassana meditation as well. Like, one of the craziest times that I manifested, I did like a Vipassana 10-day retreat last year in India. And I would just like, that was like no talking, no phone, like nothing. It was just like 10 hours, 10 days, And like, I was able to manifest like during that time. Like, when I came out, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And he talked a lot about the law of nature. And it's like, we as humans push ourselves like so much against the law of nature. And Abraham, coming back to what like she was talking about, it's like, salmon don't swim upstream going like into the current, right? They swim with, and then they get to the place that they want to get to, and they are able to continue to travel. It's like, yeah, that's so simple, but we don't really understand it, like, because we're trying so long to go upstream against everything, when it's like, okay, just come back to self, come back to your vortex, and everything's good. Right?
Yes. Like the resistance and the hustle culture and grinding. It's like, yeah, it feels very upstream vibes. And it's really funny that you're talking about Vipassana, because I was going to do that this year. I signed up for it.
You need to do it.
Yeah. They have like a center. I live on Vancouver Island in BC in Canada, and they have a center here, like up island. And I like signed up for it, and they put me on a wait list. And then I didn't want to find out like 2 days before, so I took myself off.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I definitely want to try it. Like, what was your experience like? Like,
life changing. Like, wow. Like, whew. That's like another level of like finding your truth. That's like another level of understanding, okay, everything is good. Like, and even if everything's not good, everything is going to be like, you sit with yourself, you literally see yourself 10 hours a day. It's like, okay, the stuff that just comes up, you're like breaking the sanskaras, you're like, let's say like your traumas, which are like so deep rooted from so many different past lives. If you believe in that, if you don't believe in that, whatever, like not you, but like people, based on the past lives and based on like really a lot, like how far back is it going in your karma, you know, being in this, like in this time right now, you've had this privilege of, like Goenka talks about, like you get this privilege of having this meditation technique of vipassana, so it's come into your life. How are you going to use it? So yeah, for me, coming back, like it was absolutely life changing, because you firstly, like on the first couple of days, you're like, whoa, bro, like just sit and like shut up, like your brain is just like, what else are you gonna do? It's like thoughts come up, and it's like breaking it's like breaking the chains of your own bloody misery. And this is when I talk to clients as well, like a lot of my manifestation clients have like come to me for manifestation, and like particularly like one of them now, she's like writing me every day, she's like, yeah, I do my breath work today, I do, like I found this breath, like you should be teaching me about breath work now. And I'm like, you like, and she's like, and like quick about this, like client, she's like manifesting SP, she's like, I don't even care anymore, like I'm just so into my breath work, and like I'm so into like Wim Hof right now, and I've like listened to it. I'm like, okay, cool, like you've understood, like she's like, I don't care, I just want to be the best version of myself. That's it. And then I think when like doing something like vipassana, I was like, it's really hard, it's gonna be hell, like when you do it, you're gonna want to like run away, and you're gonna be like, this is like these stuff that you didn't even know you were gonna think about. It's gonna come really from like deep rooted inside of you. It's gonna come up, and you're like, oh, that's okay. That came up. Oh, now I maybe know where that like block stems from. Oh, maybe that makes sense now. Oh, okay. You know, it's like, and you have these 10 days to like really go deep into that, and you just feel at the end of it like so free. You're like, wow, like if I can do that and I can face because the hardest thing to do, right, is like pretty much face your stuff, right? Face yourself, like your truth. What is your truth? And yeah, it was coming back. It was life changing, and I can recommend it for like literally everybody. Like everybody in this planet should do it. And then I think so we would be in so less like of a miserable situation, and we would understand, like coming back to manifesting as well, like if we don't quote unquote get the person that we want, like we're like, okay, cool, you know, there's so much more to be happy for. Like, you know, there's also in Vipassana like metta bhavna, which is like coming back to like helping others and wanting peace and love for others. And it sounds like all like cliche and stuff, but it's like really when you're so calm during those 10 days and you start doing like metta bhavna, it's like, wow, you just feel like such a blessed, happy person. And then you're in that energy of like the people. I was also in India, so it was like, wow, even like a higher level of like Mother India spiritual energy. But it's just like the people around you as well, that law of attraction, you attract so many amazing people who are on the same journey. It's like, oh my gosh, I just feel so happy right now. Like, be happy. It's like, but it's not like be happy. It's like, I actually feel happy. Like, and then I kick myself sometimes when I'm like, Bianca, you're in the lack of abundance. Oh, it's cool. Now just breathe. Find your, you know, because everything comes back to sensations in the body, right? Everything comes from the breath. And you just like take that time out, you know, to do that meditation, even if it's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day of like focusing and like, it's not like pushing anything away. It's like, okay, what's coming up? What is my truth right now? Where is it stemming from? And then you can start to use Vipassana to get out of your stuff quicker. So like the stuff that maybe you would take 3 hours to get, you know, kind of rid of or like work through, maybe it will be worked through in like an hour. And you understand that's coming from that, you know, that sanskara, that's coming from that point of me, that's coming from that, you know?
Yeah.
So you should definitely do it. And I would love to hear what your experience would be. So
definitely. I should do it again. I should try to apply again soon.
Yeah, but it is hard to get 10 days off. Like I also had to apply, and then I got the space, and I was like, okay, this is it now. Like the universe gave me a place. I was like, okay, I have to do this. Like, so I just, you have to take 10 days off, right? Yeah, but it's so worth it.
Yeah. And the actual meditation part of it is like, it's focusing right here, right? Like you focus on
the anapana, the triangle under the nose.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what you focus on for 10 days.
Like for the first 3 days, yeah. Like you focus literally for the first 3 days on like your tip to the top of your mouth is like a triangle. Like three days of that, and you're like, the second day I was like, then you're like, the first day is just like thoughts, and the second day is like, I'm gonna run away. Most people want to run away on the second day. This happened to me. And then the third day is like, when is this shit gonna end? Like, but no, I've committed myself. And then like the fourth day is like the Vipassana day. So the fourth day is like looking at the sensations in your body. So once you stabilize yourself, right? So the whole point is like through the breath work of like stabilizing and like checking the mind out before you start doing. Because I think if you started doing Vipassana on like the first day, you couldn't do it. That's why obviously like they know what they're doing. But then yeah, on the fourth day you start to, it's energy. That's why it's so crazy, because like there is so much freaking energy in every person's body that we're so disconnected to ourselves in this, like in society. It's like there is literally like there's so much going on right now, like on the top of your head right now, that you're not even aware of. I mean, obviously we're having this conversation, but like, wow, when you have the time, like the last 4th to 10th day, you just like, okay, wow, crazy. Like so much stuff happens. It's like a journey. So you do that, and then like when you can't focus on like the Vipassana, because literally you go through like every single part of your body, and then from head to toe, from toe to head, and always coming back to Anapana, which is the breath.
Wow,
it's crazy stuff.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. What about just going back to Neville Goddard's work? Have you ever played around with revision?
Yeah, I'm like, I could say for like some of my clients, I tell them to revise. I've never been a fan of revision. What I do is like, I guess I could say like I use revision if something bad what's happening that's bad in my life. But like if something undesirable happens, let's use an example, like a typical thing, my SP might say something, I'll be like, okay, that never happened, I'll just be like, I don't think I revise in the sense of like sitting down, this technique of like, okay, at the end of the night, like, although in my previous, like when I was like first getting into manifestation, I would do like revision for the day. So I would like, and I tell my clients to do this as well, like revise your day as if it would be like your perfect day. How would that be? And I will also script that as well. So I guess I could come back to what I say. I did use revision, but now I think I just like, if something is undesirable or somebody says something, I'll just like stop it in that moment. So it's not like I'm not a fan. I just don't really use it. Like, or if something happens and I don't like it, I'll be like, hey, I don't like that. Like, I'll also say stuff because I'm like, I don't want to waste time. Like, I don't want to waste time, Sometimes I also tell my clients like, this is so weird, but like, what if you would like die tomorrow? Like, you should like, if you don't like something, like, don't waste your time like revising. Like, you can not manipulating the 3D, but like you can also stand up for yourself. It's not okay if you're like, my like XSP would say like horrible things to me, and I would like accept that. I think that was like red flags, Bianca, but obviously I wanted to like manifest that person. But I wouldn't say anything, and then I would use this revision technique, like, okay, no, this happened and this happened and this happened, and he was so nice to me, and like obviously that did manifest that he came back, like I told you at the beginning, and he would say like, yeah, you're so amazing, I never said that. But yeah, for me, it's like I don't particularly use it, but I think can be powerful. Maybe in my own way of like revising is like, okay, you're talking about something I don't like. Okay, let's change the subject.
Yeah.
I don't know. How about yourself?
I dabble, like not a ton. It's not like a regular practice of mine, but
yeah,
I do like the idea of just like I like the idea of like asserting boundaries like in your life. Yeah. Like, and then shifting the attention, because all that really matters is like the present moment and how you're feeling in the present moment. So like, yeah. I think revision can be powerful and does work, like obviously because the time's not linear. So like if we want to go back to the past and like think of it in a different way, then that can have profound effects on like our life going forward and how we feel.
Exactly.
Right now. Exactly. So I think that it's a thing and it works for sure. Have you ever heard of Awaken the God Self with Candace on YouTube?
Never. No.
She talks a lot about Neville Goddard's work, and like she's like the revision queen, and she did this really cool revision where she like revised her entire childhood, where like her life, she was raised in like a poor household and her family didn't have money, and she like revised the house that she grew up in, and like that it was like a really nice house, and then like she did this imagination thing and like felt it real and all this, and then all these crazy things started happening to her family, where like her like somebody like came into a bunch of money, and like there was property that someone owned that they didn't know about, and it's just like all these crazy things to do with like wealth that started happening in her family. It's just I believe in it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. I actually like sometimes I feel like with this whole manifestation thing, I'm like with the coaching, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, because like I still have so much to learn. Like I feel like I talk to my SB sometimes, like, bro, like, we need to study quantum physics. When are we starting? Like, I'm so interested in just like quantum physics study. I feel like to be a great manifestation, like for me, I'm like, my next level is to like be a quantum physics manifestation coach, because it's like, it's so scientific. Like, and it's such an abundant, like, I don't know. It's like, I've read Joseph Murphy, Neville Goddard, Bob Proctor, like all of those good, like Kim Velez, whatever. But it's like, wow, what if I just delve into the science of this? That's like a whole new world. And I feel sometimes like inadequate. I'm like, okay, no, I don't know anything. But like, obviously I have studied a lot, and I obviously get good results. I must be a great coach, let's say. But I think there's just so much physically and in the quantum field of this energy that we don't see, and science, like science, it's such a science-based theory that I think, yeah, I just want to learn so much more. But I don't know if that's the same for you, or if you can. What's the word I'm looking for? I speak so bad English these days. We can speak
Relate.
relate. I was like, relate. I want to say it before. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can understand. I don't know if you can relate. I'm sorry.
I knew what you meant. But I think like what you're kind of touching on is like imposter syndrome a little bit, but like I feel like everybody has that, like, and
100%.
yeah. And it's kind of like a thing of, yeah, there's always more to learn. There will always be more to learn, because we'll never know everything. Like everybody is in the same boat that way, where like, I mean, obviously some people have like more experience with, like, you have manifestation experience and like, how the energy works and all that stuff. So like, yeah, I think there's always more to learn. And of course I love reading and stuff like that. And I haven't read most of these books, to be honest. I just like collecting them, but like, just, yeah, like I don't read as much as I want to, but yeah. So anyways, I relate to the imposter syndrome for sure.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I relate. Okay. So what do you think about like subconscious programming, like hypnosis and things like that?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, my book, the book that changed my life, thinking about it, was like, you've obviously read Joseph Murphy's Power of the Subconscious Mind, right? Like,
yeah,
obviously. I think it's like, it's, what was your question again? I'm like off somewhere else now. What do I think of hypnosis and subconscious mind, right?
Yes.
I think the human mind is so malleable, and anything is possible, like hands down. It's crazy. Like, how can it not be? And being a yoga teacher, when we start to meditate, I'm like, even though we're so unaware of so